Good evening and welcome to the Port of Cascade Locks Commission meeting. It is November 19, 2024, about 6 p.m. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
President Ryan,
Here.
Vice President Hu, here. Commissioner Nance,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson,
Here.
Commissioner Dodd.
Here. Modifications, additions, and changes to the agenda.
I have a modification to the agenda under number 2, ratification of the bills. You'll see we provided you with an updated bill list, and we have a misprint here. The number should be $557,744.98. I believe everybody has a copy of that, but for the record, we will be making that change. Also, under perfect timing, under agenda item 4, we'll have an additional item. Tim Hoyker is with us this evening and wanted an opportunity to meet the commission, address the commission. I wasn't able to talk to you today, so I was a little iffy if you were coming, but I'm glad you're here. So perfect. We'll add that piece as well. After 4, so it'll be 4A.
Where are we putting that?
4A.
4A. Okay. First. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Consent agenda. Approval of minutes for commission meetings from October 21st, 2024. Ratification of the bills in the amount of $557,000, $744.98. Approval of payroll for October 2024 in the amount of $43,559.03. And for November 2024 in the amount of $45,177.83.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
A motion to second approve the consent agenda as stated. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for Commissioner Nance for helping us catch that. We appreciate that.
Executive Director report.
Go ahead. You can jump on in, Parker.
I attended a CVA pump out dump station workshop put on by the Oregon State Marine Board. It was very educational. It was nice to get to meet some of our other sister agencies up and down the gorge. We finished up exterior building pressure washing and gutters in the business park. That's flexes 1 through 6 are complete. We did some water line meter planning. And we've been going all out on getting Christmas lights out. We ran through, tested everything inside the building, and it's now getting put out into the port or into Full House Road. There's been a skip that. We met with the Hood River County school officials to continue facilitating the transfer switch at Cascade Locks Elementary School. That went well, and it feels like we're well along the way to getting that completed. We've inspected and performed routine yearly maintenance on the plows in preparation for winter. We've got some new office lighting going up the stairs to accommodate the earlier open hours and the later open hours, given how dark it's been. And then ongoing leaf cleanup throughout the Marine Park at Thunder Island. That'll go on for another month or so.
Okay.
The AFD on the next stop right here.
Yeah, we did. We just had an Ansel system trip test, which is their kitchen fire alarm system that kills the gas. And that was done with Pacific Fire. We did a dry test. We're now just waiting on the county to get that scheduled. That's the last box to check. And they should be good to go for OPS.
Let me go. Okay. I just want to commend Parker and Todd and John and Darren, our engineer, for completing the the successful delivery of our restroom facility at the Harvey Road parking lot. It's not completely hooked up yet, right?
No,
So-
not quite. I didn't want to fully announce it.
Yep.
We've got just a little bit of plumbing. The electrical work is done. Plumbing
Yeah.
is to be hooked up and completed. But the set went great, so the underground plumbing and everything went well, which was the nervous part.
So remaining items for us after complete hookup is also to work on how the coin operated showers will work. Which right now we're working on having that work by tokens and having a token program. As well as some security measures. One of the requirements also of the grant was the installation of a bear-proof garbage can, which is on its way. I think we'll have delivery of that later in December. So the restroom itself won't be open until the spring, but wanted you to know that you'll see a building there. It's not open, it's locked up, and we're getting it all plugged in there.
Question
Yeah.
about the token program. How is that gonna work? Like,
We don't know yet.
Okay.
We're still putting it together.
So the plan of the token program, so had some conversations with Jordan about his bathroom and shower facility down here. Water and electric on that is running about $3,500 a year.
Mhm.
And then the actual break-ins that they've had are costing them considerably more. So they're losing money on that by having that program. So what we're considering is having it focus on tokens so that there's no value inside, and then leaving a stack of those tokens there. So to provide free showers. We'll have to, it'll probably be a program we have to test and see how it goes. But I can tell you right away that somebody's going to break into that thing. There's just no eyes up there. So this is sort of our idea to maybe mitigate that. Leave tokens around town at the bars, right? Folks come in, hey, have a beer, take a shower too, right? So that's sort of the plan. But we haven't quite got all the details of it yet. We'll probably come back to the commission and talk about this more heavily about how that program's going to actually work. When we'll leave it open, when we'll close it, does it stay open at night? Like there's some things that didn't really get put in place before we did that project that are gonna have some impact. I mean, just the maintenance on that alone has us stretched clear across this town. We clear down here, now we're clear up here,
Right.
one more bathroom for us. So it's awesome. We're excited to have it. It's a great program, with the grant money that came in, but
Right.
the operational side, don't have all the details yet.
Yeah, 'cause it seems like there's. I would presume a lot of the heavy use is gonna be from hikers, especially in summertime. And then they get off the trail and they're like, oh, sweet shower. Where do I get a token? How do I do this? How does this work? So,
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Not being able to hit it there, that have to come back, put all the stuff down and get back, it seems like.
We're hoping a little bit to have tokens that are right there, right? So you walk in, the shower says there's tokens, and then there's a bucket of tokens, like you just grab it and put it in, and then maybe that we just bypass it. My only thought about bypassing the system is what if somebody turns it on, it just runs for 2 days, right?
If you give tokens out to the breweries, a lot of the hikers will claim them.
Yeah, it's true.
They're trying to throw in.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And we can maybe put some at Timberline or something, so, your next stop.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
here's
cool.
your shower token
That's awesome.
for Cascade Locks.
That's really smart, actually.
Yeah, partnership with those guys. So anyways, I just wanted to commend our crew because that was something that I was nervous about, the delivery of this entire
It's back.
building by itself, and it, was great. Carrie Ann also commending her. She's got some training that she has gone through this month, and she's implementing a lot of the accessibility training to the port's website. We had some more safety committee training. I also want to make sure that you look at your packet. You got a report from our events manager, Janetta Blue, last month on the summer activities. Attached in your packet are the reports that were submitted to Janetta by PCT Days, the Bridge of the Gods Run, and the Gorge Waterfalls Marathon, just to let you know how they are viewing the success of their events, and also commending our staff and really our facilities crew in its entirety for taking care of the Marine Park so well, including Tom here for sure. So I wanted to make sure that you guys take a look at those. Those are the reports that you'll receive this year from the event promoters. We're tweaking our processes to try to save money and staff time where we can. Jeremiah and I met with Debbie Smith-Wagar, who is the finance manager for Port of Hood River, and Kevin Greenwood, the executive director for the Port of Hood River last month, and figured out a way to just digitally submit to them our office deposits for Breeze By accounts. And so that saves us a trip and mileage to Hood River and staff time a few times a month. So that's a good savings, and we've got a system in place. Joanne worked to get that in place going forward. And then I'm going to skip that one and I'll come back to it. Parker and I have been reviewing the Port of Cascade Locks addenda to the county's natural hazards mitigation plan. Moving forward for approval, that is actually being presented to the county tonight. It will be released tomorrow for public comment. So I encourage everybody to go to the county's website, review the plan in its entirety, and especially the Port of Cascade Locks addenda. The port districts weren't included in the prior plan. A natural hazards mitigation plan and community wildfire prevention plan, right, is the other one. CWPP, which will follow quickly on the heels, are important plans that open up avenues to federal funding for communities. The plan has to be current. The county's plan is currently expired. So this is a critical update for us to be able to access emergency funding. And it can also serve as a community plan for individual project funding that's listed in the plan. So when you go through the Port of Cascade Locks addenda, you'll see a lot of projects there that are listed in our strategic business plan that can sort of double as a project for natural hazards mitigation, and some projects that are not on our strategic business plan that we submitted as mitigation projects that we might want to get funding for in the next few years.
Grants at the county level?
State and federal. Yeah, not at the county level, but it's the county's plan. So the county commissioners are reviewing that tonight. We submitted a small grant application to the Safety and Security Grant Program this evening. It's just for $2,500 to help offset costs for additional cameras. At the Marine Park, we're still trying to get kind of zeroed in on a quote from a supplier for that. So we'll be sending more details on that, but the deadline was tomorrow. So we went ahead and submitted the grant, which is easy to do, but.
Camera for every road in?
Yes, it's only $2,500 for the grant, but the project could be really, really big. Yeah. Let's see, what is the other one? I wanted to make sure you guys, thank you to Tommy and Janetta. Janetta is working on an update to the wedding venue rental contract, and that's in legal review right now. You guys will get a chance to review and approve that before it's used for future weddings, but it's Janetta did a great job putting that together, and it fills in a lot of the blanks that we have in our current template. We have initiated our weekly management team meetings Wednesday mornings. So after each commission meeting, we'll have a meeting the next day together at the staff level to debrief and plan our work and communicate better within the management team. And let's see. We had a site visit in September from Mike Jacobs, who is the SDAO risk mitigation field rep for our port. He walked all of our grounds and sent us his recommendations for some safety items. We are implementing a app called Planner in Microsoft 365. I'm sure some of you guys use Planner. We're going to start using that for work orders for the maintenance crew. And so Parker and I are sort of testing that with these recommendations and plotting those on the calendar. Jeremiah and I met with Jessica Mehta and two of her staff members who will be working on implementing the port's economic development grant program. And we talked about the scoring criteria. They are working on that now. And a few of the other steps that we have to wrap up before we can launch next month and have our call for applications. Janetta and Jeremiah and I were able to meet, and Parker, were you at that meeting with Chad?
Yes.
Okay, with Chad Sperry to go over his plans for the Bridge of the Gods run next year, which is really exciting. And then just corresponded, and thank you to Commissioner Dodd for participating in a local team that's assembling to prepare a Cascade Locks Tourism Committee application to the Travel Oregon Recreation Ready program, which is a new program. So the deadline for this grant application is December 6th. Janice is going to lead that application, but Commissioner Dodd was very, very helpful in supplying a whole bunch of content for that application. So it was really helpful, and thank you. And then we briefly met with representatives from SAJ Architecture. They work on many projects for the Port of Kalama that are really great models for community revitalization efforts, economic development efforts. And so that was just an informal meeting to sort of plant a few seeds in their brain about Cascade Locks and get their creativity going for our community. And I'll leave my last announcement for Jeremiah to make.
Okay.
Or-
Am I up?
Yep.
And thank you guys for working through that OEM questionnaire on the FEMA funding. And again, Parker, your good work on that for getting FEMA funding for the lift station. Hopefully that all goes through, but that questionnaire was a little daunting and we rolled right through it with the three of us. So I appreciated that. Go ahead, actually, I'll let you.
I forgot one. Many of you may have received the call from Denise E. Baker for the Main Street organization. They have a call for project proposals for the Main Street grants next year. If you didn't get that email, let me know. I will forward it to you again so we can get some creative brains on these projects. I just wanted to note a couple of projects that were funded last year through that program. At the around the $200,000 level. Let's see, the city of Cornelius received almost $200,000 to rehabilitate the facade of the Centro El Mercado Food Market in Cornelius. The city of Dayton received $200,000 to build 2 new buildings to support rehabilitation of and access to 3 historic buildings for lodging purposes in Dayton, and the total project cost for that was $716,000. The city of North Bend received $200,000 to acquire and rehabilitate the former Bay Cleaners for a tortilleria business in North Bend. And the city of Woodburn received $200,000 to restore the exterior of the Masonic building in Woodburn. So those sorts of projects were successful in 2023. And if you go through Denise's email, you will see a link to the page where you can see all those sorts of projects that were funded in 2023 and 2022 and kind of get your mind thinking about what sort of a thing is successful and we might be able to put together for Cascade Locks. So sorry, I
No,
forgot
you're
about
great.
that
That's
one.
great. I'm glad we got it. Did some lease negotiations on the Flex One building. Right now we have Stumptown Networking in there. They are coming to the end of their lease. They have also sold their business to Abundant Minds, and that's Bo. We've met, I don't know if he's met with this commission before, but he's met with the previous commission. He has the Bitcoin operation that's out at Snyder's property. So he is looking to take over that lease that Stumptown is currently in. All the equipment would stay, everything would stay. It's a pretty nice handoff if it works out, because that building has them as a new tenant and the 7,500 has just become available. Got it cleaned up, got the new door put in place, coming soon.
Comes 7th of December.
Perfect.
The mechanism itself.
We've taken this opportunity to take that building and move it over to the triple net lease, which is something that we've been wanting to do for quite some time. We wrote some very interesting leases when we built those buildings. They were very specific to every single sort of entity that came based on what their business was, based on what they needed from the port, based on how many jobs they had, based on, which makes each one sort of its own individual use case. And a little hard to navigate. So we've got Tommy working on a triple net lease. That'll be the very first building that we can say, perfect, this is how we've got it, this is how we want it. It's going to take some years to get that across of all of our buildings. We just recently gave Jasper a 10-year possible extension, so that building's kind of stuck for a while, but we will eventually get there. So that's an exciting piece we've got them working on. We're also made some progress on the Freem cold storage that you guys approved. So we should be seeing that back from Tommy, getting this back from Tommy. Kept Tommy busy the last week or so. Also talk a little bit just about the Tech Pro meeting that we had around the cameras in the park. So as Jen mentioned, the SDAO grant, safety and security, I believe, it's $2,500. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what our park really needs when it comes to cameras, eyes in the sky. We're looking at a large camera rollout. We set some money aside in the budget earlier in the year. When this commission very first took sort of office, there was kind of a large push for that. And so it was something that I kind of expected to happen. We're going to see our camera system is up at the bridge currently. We have one in another location. Maybe I don't want to give out where the location of our cameras are. But because it was a Homeland Security grant, we couldn't use any cameras from China or from anyone that the US government didn't approve of, which left us with a European camera system. It's really nice. It's really expensive. And you don't have a whole lot of folks that are able to sell that system. We're somewhat pot committed to it because we really do want a single system where all cameras are tied, where you can go and sit down and go from camera to camera to camera, not worry about an SD card, not worry about multiple different softwares, not worry. And then if things break or a camera goes down, that it's all interchangeable and works together. There are definitely cheaper systems out there, but they're not going to work with the system that we have. And our hands are a little tied. So we're reaching out to Tech Pro. We'll reach out to some other folks that sell this software. We'll come back to you. There will undoubtedly be some sticker shock because people are gonna be like, I have a Ring door camera system for cheap, right? But these are changeable lenses, right? So if we buy this lens for this camera and go, man, we're not really getting what we want, we can pop the lens off and get wide lenses. We can get lenses that go right on the license plate. We've asked Commissioner Peterson to sit in on some of this. He hasn't had an opportunity yet, but will as this sort of develops and then moves to the commission. But just to take advantage, I mean, we all know, right? Rob knows the tech stuff. So to take advantage of that in his research, and he's already filling my inbox. So there'll be more of that to coming forward. Also wanted to take an opportunity, well, make sure it's nothing else. Me and David McCurry will be attending the chamber luncheon tomorrow in Skamania County. They've invited us. They've invited the Hood River Bridge, White Salmon Bridge folks as well. We're just going to talk about our $6 million project. Let Skamania County know what's going on, which different pieces are going to affect them. Really, there won't be a lot of stoppages on the bridge. And ours it's such a small project compared to the Hood River Bridge. I mean, it's a billion dollar project. We're a $6 million project. It's apples and oranges. It's a really good opportunity to us to show, hey, listen, there are two major bridge projects happening on the Columbia River right now, but we're not one of them. We're just a little one, and it's all about preservation. It's all about safety, and it's all about seismic. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to address Skamania County. I also wanted to take the opportunity, and I wrote this out, so I'm just going to read it. I want to take a few minutes to acknowledge Melissa Warren. Melissa Warren's well-earned retirement after more than 2 decades of service to the Port of Cascade Locks. Let's just take a moment to process that. Melissa started here in July of 2000 as the accounts payroll clerk. Back then, the port was bustling with nearly 90 employees. And we're pretty sure Melissa must have managed to single-handedly replace all of them over the years because we're down to 17. Melissa has held almost every finance-related title: payroll clerk, account specialist, accounting technician. I love that one. That's my favorite. And finally, account administrator. But if you think her job ended with her titles, think again. Melissa has been the Swiss Army knife of the port. She's handled HR matters, juggled accounts payable and receivable, tackled insurance questions, managed the budget, and answered countless, hey, Melissa, do you remember when did we ever get all while keeping the port's finances running like a well-oiled machine? Melissa didn't stop there. She has been out in the trenches. She has taken tolls in the booth. She served Valentine's Day dinner on the sternwheeler. She helped build the swim beach. She even flagged traffic on the bridge. and probably saved the day more times than we realize. If there was a strange, unexpected task at the port, Melissa likely volunteered to do it and did it exceptionally well. Through 3 offices, 4 titles, 6 general managers, 1 executive director, and over 20 commissioners, Melissa has been one of the constants. She has seen the port evolve, adapt, and thrive while serving as historian, problem solver, and unofficial superhero. Melissa has been more than an employee. You've been the heart of the port. Your contributions extend far beyond the walls, whether helping coworkers, welcoming visitors, or tackling challenges no one else dared to touch. You've always done it with a smile and let's get it done attitude. As you step into retirement, we wish you all the best. May your days be filled with adventure, relaxation, and maybe a few free toll drives across the bridge. That's not going to happen. That's not happening. We do hope to stop by often, if not to say hello, then to remind us the gold standard that you've set. Melissa, congratulations on an incredible career, a well-earned retirement. You've done it all, and you've done it with style, humor, and a whole lot of heart. Cheers to you. You will be missed, but not forgotten. Melissa Warren. We have some flowers for Melissa, and then we have it's sort of a tradition provided. I'm gonna forget what is the artist's name?
Paul Anquist.
Thank you. The Paul Anquist Bridge of the Gods photo of him flying under the bridge. Those are presented to people who have shown excellence or done amazing things for the port. So we certainly thank you.
We take a picture.
I will not approve minutes on the next one unless the entire speech is.
We did. Can we get all of you guys with her?
Sure.
Go up front. Sorry, it's bad. Just leaving.
You messed up. You know you're even gonna post it. No, so they watch for that long way around
Sorry.
over here.
There you go. Pretty bird. Thank you.
We all kind of.
Great.
Harry almost did it.
Huh?
That's why I.
I'll come back home.
Around the corner.
That's all I've got. That's all I've got, Brad.
That was great. That's it.
No. Did I steal it?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no, I left
We're
it.
really getting out of order today, huh?
Little bit, little
We didn't
different.
we did not do.
Commissioner comments next?
Commissioner comments next, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so.
Keep the meeting short, I have nothing really to say.
Yeah, this past month I got to attend with Carrie and Jeremiah and Danmar, the MCAD economic synopsis. So it's nice to see an update of how our both Oregon and Washington sides are doing.
Yeah.
It looks positive. Ignore the news. It's actually quite well. And I'm seeing growth in recreation. So this is our niche here. So like we're on the right track. Also, a big thank you to Northwest Trail Alliance for to work on the trail system out there. I heard you guys had some new developments, so I encourage you guys to check out their posts on Facebook or their website as well. And a big congratulations again to Melissa for all your years of service. So thank you again.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yes, congratulations. I can't wait till I'm at this room. I am looking forward to a couple of the business action items that we have today. One of them specifically has been very important to me throughout this entire year. And knowing that we have storms of ruin, I'm hoping that we're able to push that along. And I really just want to say, I hope everyone has a very wonderful Thanksgiving. It's very soon, it's next week. So I hope everyone has a nice one.
Well, yeah, Rob and I and Dan and Jeremiah did go to that MCAD symposium, and there was a lot of interesting speakers on the panel, so got to learn a lot. and do some networking, so that was really good. We also had a Bridge of the Gods Centennial Committee, Subcommittee, meeting, like a week or so ago. Got the general consensus from the subcommittee, and I have already talked to most of you individually to discuss one of the main events that might take place if we can continue to move forward, which would be bungee jumping off of the bridge for its 100-year anniversary. So we're still exploring that as an option. Just this past Monday, we had a meeting with Bungee Oregon, who operates the bungee jumping off of the bridge in Bend. And they are extremely excited about participating in this event. Would have to order like new equipment, special for our bridge, and like new bungees and all of that. So that the next step I think is for them to come out and take a look at the bridge, get measurements, and see like there wouldn't be any like permanent structures or anything like that attached to the bridge. They have some ideas on how they would be able to do that, and limit any kind of permanency there. So other than that, the party has dates attached to it now, so everybody mark your calendars. September 18th through 20th, 2026 is going to be the bridge party. So
Excellent.
that'll be pretty fun. I think that's everything I have.
Well, I don't have a whole lot other than I'll echo what everybody else said. Congratulations. And retirement is awesome. Yeah, you won't know how you ever worked. But, other than that, just kind of winterizing things around the house, getting ready for the batten down the hatches. And, we survived yet another election cycle, and congratulations to those who won. Both locally and everywhere else. We will survive. Life is good. Other than that, not a whole lot. I haven't been in nearly as many meetings as all of my rest of my staff here, but looking forward to it. Looking forward to the holidays and what we're gonna do in the next year. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And with that, we will move on to, are we into the executive session or we?
No, we have an opportunity to meet with Tim Hoiker. He wanted an opportunity to come and address the commission tonight, say hello. He has a longstanding relationship with the Port of Cascade Locks, and as a member of this community, we know that he purchased the property down in the business park. When was that, Tim? 2016. So just wanted the opportunity to meet the commission, address the commission, talk a little bit about how they've seen recreation and being sort of a driver down there, and tried to follow suit this summer with the canoeing business that they had down there. So come on up, Tim.
Okay. Tim Whiter. So I don't know what you guys want to know, but maybe a little bit of history. But our plan was, to process fish down there when we first purchased it. That was sort of what we were after. And I mean, the fishermen at the time were really good on the Columbia, and it just seemed like the thing to do and to pursue. And it just, I don't know, it's just been a bunch of different things since then. And obviously the runs have slowed down, and at least not so much all the runs, but just the opportunity to get at them, through the Oregon, just the rules and the regulations and all that. So, pretty limited on our fishing now, but I mean, fishing was good this year. So it does still has potential there. But like I said, we've been, I don't know, it's just been a lot of different things that's happened over the last 8 years on, getting started. And it just seems like there's always something that sort of slows it down, and it's just, I don't know. Just life, I guess. It's just we work fishermen, we fish in Alaska. We've got boats up there, and we just sometimes it just comes at once, just the maintenance on and that. So it's just, and there's some of the bigger boats, they're 100-foot crab boats, and that'll all work. So
Are you guys based out in Melbourne, or you have a place up in Alaska you
Yeah, both get usually tied to King Cove out on the peninsula.
Okay.
Yeah. About halfway between Dutch and Anchorage.
So
And they're coming down south too.
if you don't put a fish processing plant on that property, what is your vision for the property? I know you did the kayak rentals this summer and that seemed to be pretty successful. But there's still a bunch of land there too that could be utilized. Do you have any visions of what you would like to do?
Well, something that works, I guess with the community and, the value there is, I think, where we're headed. And I think it's gonna be a, good thing. I mean, that's what, talk with the board and some of their plans out there on the other stuff and something we can maybe fit into that, would be ideal. That's what we're looking at now. We were approached a little bit, I mean, after the kayak, the guy that ran that down there, he's got some little big, maybe a little too big ideas, something to explore, but yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. Something to sit down and talk with everybody about and just see where where we want to head. I mean, we want to keep, we still want to, do something there.
Is there zoning changes that we require for different type of use rather than, because that's zone, is that
Yeah.
zone heavy industrial or is that zone?
We don't, the city has uses, but they filed, I think maybe it was conditional use or a 90-day permit to use it for that. It's zoned heavy industrial, I believe. It's heavy industrial, so, based on what this commission vision is out there in that business park, and we've kicked around a number of things, I'm certainly we would bring, if it was something you were interested in, we'd bring Quakers along when we went to the city and said, hey, this is what we want to do out in this business park. And as much as heavy industrial had its time and its place, it maybe isn't here anymore. And they see a vision similar to ours that, focuses on recreation, retail, light commercial or light industrial, that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think it's a future, I think it's a good thing. I think there's a lot more potential out there than, more long-term potential, something that would just, go on and last for, longer for.
We also have property that's owned, we don't have property, there's property out there that's also owned by SDS. And I think we'll probably see SDS follow suit as well. I mean, when we were out there building large industrial flex buildings, they were thinking, well, we should build a large industrial flex building. And now that that's slowed down and proved not to be as advantageous as we thought it was going to be, and that we take a different sort of look at what we're going to do out in the business park, I imagine SDS will do the same thing. Whatever we grow out there, it's going to be advantageous to them to follow suit with us and make that property more valuable to them. So I imagine SDS will be a partner in that as well.
As far as your property location on that little lagoon there at the mouth of Herman Creek, do you have any ideas or visions to eventually have a port there for some sort of water-based business there? Or
That was the original what the fishing was, actually to bring some fish down, even from Alaska, bring them in there and, offload them there. And, we know there was issues to get into there.
I
It's
know
pretty shallow.
it's a sensitive area.
Yeah.
I think there's some state ownership along there as well, and just, the cold water refuge in there. So I was just curious about the, challenges you've encountered along the way there right now. Like what have you seen so far?
Well, we haven't did a lot of research into other options. That was an option at first, but we didn't know how well that would work if you couldn't dredge it out. Herman's Creek's pushed out a lot of debris out there. It's really, the deepest spot is right over there along the dike.
Depending on how open the dam is and what time of year.
Yeah. There was talk about opening up the refuge on the northeast side there, but don't open it up out of the Columbia at one time. I mean, there's been a lot of different issues, but I don't know if any of that stuff's getting done now. So
we're limited to do any dredging in that area, correct? There's been an environmental assessment there and they did some mitigation from the old mill, that sort of thing. And basically said, as long as you don't disturb anything, you can, in the water, you can do what you want. But dredging and that stuff in that area is a little bit out of the question.
I think it's tough to do personally, yeah. I think the water, that property has potential with the water usage of that with, what we can do with, with what the port plant, some of the other stuff working together, I think has a huge potential. Especially got cleaned it up a little out there, give us some of the old stuff, Phil Pyle and stuff like that.
I imagine it's pretty difficult to do heavy industrial when it's something that's so environmentally sensitive right there too, so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But that, like I said, I think moving forward, I think it's gonna be good. Yeah, and probably a little better than, just some.
Have you talked at all with the other business across from the creek, with the little dock there, I think it's Jennifer Sailing Products or out there, okay.
You know,
Well, we looking forward to seeing what will happen there.
yeah. No, I appreciate all the legacy and all the working together for so far.
We'll definitely let you know of anything that we're developing there.
Okay. No, we'll be staying.
Yeah, stay in contact.
And trying to,
For sure.
yeah, stay on top of things.
I have a quick question. So I'm kind of a map guy. Isn't there like a strip of land that goes across the front of that property along the water's edge? That's.
Yeah, we,
And so there was, so to do fish crossings and across that strip of land, there was some sort of easement or even where they were doing a kayak or something, was there some sort of easement or allowance?
there's a high water mark there. Yeah, down to the water, yeah.
But at this point, there's no plans to do anything with it at this time,
With
with the land.
building up, I mean. The kayak thing, it was, you know, it's got potential, I mean, there's potential there with recreation stuff, and we don't know how long we can, you know. Keep the conditional use to, you know, further that anymore, if there's a little bit more to do there with that.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess we'd have to obviously work with everybody and see where, if that's the direction, you know, that we want to continue to explore. See if there's more potential there, you know, some different stuff to do down there. And bring more, you know, more people down there for some different activities.
I'm sure this offer probably already out there, but since your plans change from fish processing and whatnot, if you guys are interested in letting that go, we might be interested in getting it back maybe.
Oh, the property itself.
Yeah, possibly, it's worth the discussion.
Yeah.
That's only for me, I'm not speaking on behalf of.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm
know.
just- but
No, we
Maybe
can
we have
always
to
talk about stuff,
talk about
I wouldn't wanna hold it up forever if that was the case, you know, we didn't, you know, purchase it to resell, or, I mean, you know, to. At that, you know, we wanted to do something there for, you know, the community, and, you know. that-
There's been challenges along the
Yeah.
way as well.
Oh, there's there's been some hurdles, but you know, if it works out, it could be for a good thing, I think, than just having a big, you know, square building down there that doesn't, you know, but, you know, benefit everybody, you know, be right for the land, it's a unique piece of property. So, and, I mean, in that case, and I think it's got a little better potential on the recreation side. And it maybe a little bit of a mixed use too, where we can still, you know.
Recreation is a strong suit right now.
Yeah, and I think this is it, you know, I think it really would, you know, but get something down there that looks, you know, that, I'm a person, it's gotta fit into the land and look nice, I mean, I think that's really what I want, even the building we're gonna put down there, even, you know, people said it was, you know, it was gonna look, you know, look nice, wasn't just a box. So, and putting it in the right place and all that stuff, so just so.
With it being so close to the water and stuff, I wonder if you could get conditional use to do like summer food trucks or something down there, so people kayak and run mountain biking.
You got free next
Get-
door,
get
yeah,
some
you
food.
got the beer already, so.
No, I think there's a lot of, I mean, we're definitely, I think that's where we're gonna lead is, if that's what, you know.
I don't know, yeah,
Some
I
of
think our
the, some of the
vision is-
stuff that, you know, you guys have talked about doing on the other land, I think it fit in pretty well.
yeah, I think we need to get somebody who has like city planning experience to come out and draw what we see, like get a vision that on paper that we can all agree on and move forward with, so that we're not just kind of piecemealing each of the properties together, but everything just
It's a bigger
works
master
together.
plan, you know, something that's
Exactly.
30, 40, 50 years, it's gonna be, you know,
Right.
still working. Yeah.
Right, because once you start just building willy-nilly random things, it just kind of falls apart, but flow and won't.
They block each other from doing the main picture, you
Yeah,
know.
we would appreciate more of a master vision plan with that, you know, we'd like to work with you on that.
Yeah, we
Hopefully be
definitely.
a partner in it.
Yeah. No, I'll try to come some more to these meetings, that way I can learn and listen to what's going on and people are thinking, but yeah, see. So.
With your Alaska schedule, is there a time of year that it's best for us to get you in town where we could talk about those?
Yeah, usually the, you know, spring.
Spring, okay, okay, great.
Usually the
Summer not good, July not good. Okay,
fall and, but spring's good.
okay,
I mean, the winter, I don't know how much stuff goes on in the winter, but the winter's great, yes.
okay, great.
So,
Did you ever bring your products into Brigham Fish Market at all?
we sold some fish, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I'll check it out.
yeah, not a lot, but it's some, I mean, when they, you know, stuff that it's hard for them to get in, yeah. But we'd probably do more if we had actually something. obviously based there, which they wanted us to for quite a few years, to get some kind of freezer capacity down there where we could actually hold some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so they could, because they get a lot of stuff in Pacific and stuff, but we just, you know, like I said, it's just the way it is. And it's been tough. When we first got that down, there was really nothing. We weren't even close to the pound, you know, it was just pretty, you know, it was a lot of. Well, but anyways, that's.
Cool.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. All right, next, executive session. Port of Cascade Locks, the commission will now meet in an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602E, which allows the commission to meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives, I'm sorry, of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. We will recess for a few minutes to allow Carrie Ann to shut down people and welcome the rest of you out.
See you later, audience. Thank you, guys. See you, Captain Tom.
Welcome back. We are now, where are we going? Just a minute. Business action items. Consider items referring to the executive session.
We don't have any.
Okay. Approved contract with Parsons Transportation Group for the owner engineer project.
Very exciting. As everyone knows, in early 2024, the state of Oregon allocated $6 million to the Port of Cascade Locks for comprehensive seismic resilience and preservation study. It focuses on seismic resilience, preservation planning, safety improvements.
Never mind, everybody dropped off.
Okay. The documents for you to review tonight are the proposal of team qualifications, the project budget by task, draft contract agreement. We also have with us from Parsons, David McCurry, who's able to answer any questions you may have, talk about the project. David, you want to come forward, commissioners, if you have anything that you'd like to ask David about the project. We have him here with us today.
While you're taking a look, and I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you for this opportunity to continue to support the port. It's been since about 2009 that I've had the opportunity to help on the Bridge of the Gods. And my job is to be the person responsible to make sure you get what you need and what you want through this contract. So that's the way it's set up, and happy to answer any question. I don't think there's anything that wouldn't be a great question. So feel free to dive deep or shallow as you want.
For the phase two, I'm looking at the schedule, Article 3, February 1st, 2025 to July 2024. Can you just kind of talk a little bit what would happen in phase 2 and 3?
Yeah, the phasing that's written here is kind of more like a guideline in terms of it's not a precise schedule, but what we will be doing is having a precise schedule that shows all the tasks and the deliverables throughout this project and sharing the status of that on a regular basis.
We'll be meeting with David McCurry probably monthly, if not bi-monthly, for the next 3 to 4 years.
But in terms of like using the word phasing can mean a lot of different things to different agencies, so I'll be kind of careful to not overuse the words phasing. ODOT uses phasing and WashDOT uses phasing to mean different things when they're talking about their projects. And we will be interfacing with ODOT quite a bit. So In this case, phase one of this project is about data collection. I'm getting ready to analyze the bridge. It's about surveying the bridge in more detail than we have in the past. Physical surveys, to get measurements and dimensions of the bridge. And then to actually put that in a mathematical model. And analyze the bridge. And that's all about determining precise reaction of the bridge to whatever loading we look at. Could be trucks, wind, seismic. Moving past that is about what do you do about any deficiencies that are identified specifically for seismic. And then not just identifying what the deficiencies are, but what would you do about it? And how much would that cost and what would that look like as a future project? So in terms of the phasing, it's really kind of mostly just about data collection and then reporting out on that preliminary findings on the analysis, and then also talking about what's next. So overarchingly through every step of this, I'm going to be sharing status updates. We'll have small deliverable reports. We'll give you really interesting information in some cases, like landslide vulnerabilities. We've been moving things forward on our side, kind of in anticipation of getting those to proceed, talking with geotechs, looking at landslide potential in and around the bridge, in and around Cascade Locks. Some of it's been documented, but we can actually put it all together from different sources into a report and talk about the bridge specifically. Be really interesting. So yeah, and that kind of starts answering your question, Rob. And yeah, the schedule for this work here will be something we'll look at a high level and lots of detail.
Yeah, we just announced our 100 centennial date now, so that's going to be in September 2026. So that looks like it fits right into phase 3 there. So
yeah,
I guess to continue on with Rob's question, so we have obviously with our 6 phases, but immediately after that we have tasks. Are tasks the same as phases?
no,
Or all the tasks that we see here part of phase 1?
All the tasks here are part of this contract and including this contract. The tasks are set up kind of more consistent with how typical DOTs, specifically ODOT, would organize the flow of work and tied to deliverables. Deliverables being a report usually, in which allows you to make a decision and say, okay, that's information I need to make a decision. So that's how the tasks are set up. One of the tasks, the first task, the project management, is where we build a detailed schedule. And along with that, we can have a high level roll up and show our phases and how they're progressing. The best summary is this one. There's a lot of words on here, but it really does a great job of explaining to you the 3 key focus areas under this contract, and that's safety, seismic, and the preservation planning.
Got a page number on that, David?
Yeah, it's.
This is going to be different.
Oh,
It might be different.
36.
So for those 3 stripes, yeah.
36.
Yeah, this is really helpful if you want to kind of understand the details of what the work includes. It really starts at a high level with the golden objectives for those 3 key areas. And then it kind of dives into the tasks, and the technical disciplines are like the specific engineering and related specialties that have to do analysis or design for that work to accomplish that work. And then the deliverables are like the reports, the conclusions you'll be able to draw. Eventually, we'll have a summary of the work when we're all finished, but these will be stepwise deliverable reports, and I will report out to you on what we found, and you'll have the opportunity to comment and review before we finalize them. So, the safety first is really about pedestrian safety. Safety is interwoven through the other 2, but the seismic assessment is about a much bigger question about the seismic performance of the bridge and the vulnerabilities of it. And then the last one is really about long-term planning for safety and preservation of the bridge.
So I guess I'm still confused about the phasing, like versus the tasks versus, I guess, the 3 steps that we have here.
Yes,
Like what would be approving would be finances for step 1, phase 1, or what? Like what is?
We're approving, so for the entire 6 million, what we're approving at this time is for David for Parsons to be our owner's rep. If we were to find something in here that, I mean, his phasing, what he's saying, he's as designing the project, we could say, hey, we want to change this. The design that he's brought to us, right, is the one that they're recommending. But tonight we're not approving the design, but we are approving him as the owner's rep for the entire $6 million. I would likely, if we were going to make changes to this proposal, to his design of the project, I would likely hire on another owner's engineer to represent us in that, to oversee David's work of designing this project. However, within the RFQ, that's part of the reason that David's team, as I understood, stood out, was his understanding of the bridge and his understanding of the port, which is going to be very advantageous in this process, as well as the fact that their company was taking on the actual designing of the project. That was not something that was offered by the other company. They were going to hire basically a David underneath them and then oversee David's work. So yes, because we're working directly with the designer, if we saw a piece of this and wanted to make some changes, we could, but I don't know that our technical understanding of bridge engineering would put us in a position where we can make great decisions without bringing somebody on to say, this is what David says we should do. We don't really like it. We want something more that's closer like this. And then he would interface with that person. But I also know that we have a long-standing relationship with David and his ability to sort of take the ideas that we have, not being experts in this industry, and make it work. So really, we're approving Parsons in this. But at the same time, we really are somewhat approving this as the go-to design of the project. But this project will change over time. This first, what we call it, a phase, a stage, or what?
Yeah, no, I actually switched to using the word stage. Let me directly answer your question. It's a great question. The tasks that are in here and the budget, that's the contractual question or thing for acceptance. And just one point of clarification, it's not the full $6 million, very intentionally. Having been involved for a long time and knowing what's possible with the $6 million and what might be discovered along the way with less than $6 million, we're leaving a gap there. So the approval is the 2.54, and it's a not to exceed. It's not like we are absolutely going to spend 2.54. We will always be reporting out progress as we go through. So you can say that's a good use for money. And if anywhere along the way, something comes up where it's like, and this is a really good example where, like, if we discover that the seismic vulnerability of the bridge is such a big nebulous thing that can't be continued, it's always feasible for the port to say, let's do a change and stop going down the road. It might opposite be true, okay, but the tasks and the budget is what's being approved. The phases and stages of project development look different depending on what we're looking at. So if we're looking at improving ped bike safety, we can move that further through project phase development and actually into construction with the $6 million because it's not that expensive. But we won't be able to move seismic retrofit through as many phases of project development. Yeah, does that answer? Hopefully.
I was trying to connect the timing that we have with the schedule.
Yeah.
With the things and the tasks that I saw later on.
Oh, yeah.
And there wasn't a consistency because there were different titles. So that's really my question.
And some of those tasks will be happening simultaneously. You can think of the tasks as sort of an organizing principle for really the invoicing of the project and which sub and which Parsons staff member is doing which task. But several of these tasks will be happening at the same time and varying degrees of speed to completion. I want to say thank you to Brad and Carrie for serving on the evaluation committee. One of the things that I thought also was great about Parsons' proposal was the sense of timing and understanding that, there's only so much that can be done for $6 million in this arena. We know that we'll likely be making an ask to the Washington legislature at some point. And there was a sensitivity there of what can we know by then that will be valuable to know for any funding ask, either of Washington or the port's own budget or another ask of Oregon over the course of the next 5 years. And so when we see tasks and then task orders underneath a master services agreement, in essence, it's sort of an invoicing organizing principle. And so you can track, we're talking about seismic preservation and safety on all three of those fronts. Work will be proceeding, but it's almost, you can imagine a little race where in this lane, things are moving forward at a certain pace and then stopping for a certain period. And here things are racing forward. And so the tasks are sort of an organizing principle. You shouldn't really think of them in sequence.
Well, so I get that.
Okay.
I work a lot of like MSAs. What my core question is, it's Article 3 schedule. 1 says October 1 to 2024 to January 30th, 2025 for phase 1.
Right.
There's nothing specifically that tells me what is encompassed in phase 1.
Oh, okay. So that's probably referring to that.
Tasks.
Right.
But we're using different language. So
Yeah.
what constitutes phase 1? What constitutes the ending of phase 1? Is it purely just 3 months?
So the confusing thing is, I don't think we gave you the RFP. So the contract, the RFP itself is an exhibit to the contract, and we don't think we put that in the packet. So let me get to, you've got it.
Phase 1 is startup, the data collection, and phase 2 is kind of detailed analysis. And phase 3 is kind of a bit more, I would call decision making and more advanced analysis. Phase 4, June, not all of this work will be. Phase 6 will depend on future funding. So the phasing is kind of more about big chunks of time where we're doing tasks and providing permission to you, getting your deliverables. Genevieve very correctly mentioned, and I want to just emphasize, a lot of the work we're going to do is going to help set you up for success. Specifically related to the pedestrian safety element, where we will be able to move that through these stages or phases, however you want to call it, faster to be like shovel ready. So you might be able to go after a grant and actually do some pedestrian improvement, physical improvements, even beyond the $6 million. So the $6 million is seed money for really kind of 3 key areas: pedestrian safety, seismic. If through this process, we have a very clear understanding of seismic vulnerability of the bridge. And by that, I mean the kinds of things that the state wants to see, the kinds of things they expect you to show them to make a good case for what you need. And this project will absolutely provide that detailed information that the state bridge engineer on both sides will say, okay, I see what it is, and I see why you're asking for this additional thing, if that's what you choose to do.
Because if we don't give you that, the bridge will fall down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great,
Pretty simple.
potentially.
So not only you point out
Okay.
problems, potential issues, but you're also, this is recommendations
Yeah,
of what you should be doing.
yeah, it's like, this piece of the bridge will not last in an earthquake, and here's what you would do about that. We'll take that to the next level and actually say how much that costs. And then we can take that information to the state, costing current dollars and construction dollars.
One of the things we also were excited about thinking through was, so for example, pedestrian safety, not talking about adding a separate pedestrian crossing, but a lot of the pedestrian safety concerns that we have on the bridge right now are related to lighting. And, the bridge needs lighting upgrade. This is potentially some elements of that project can be funded from this pot of money, maybe. But also it leads to, what can we do to maximize those 3 arenas of concern and show immediate benefit to the state for their investment and to the community for their investment. while also completing these long-term studies and getting to our updated 15-year plan. What are those things that we can knock off at the best value to the public agency, the best value to the public cost-wise and efficiency-wise? So a lot of that phasing is kind of geared toward how to get to the most with the least amount of time for the least amount of money type. Yeah, I'm not really expressing that very well, but
Bring the design aspect to it, it's gonna save us a lot of money in that search as well, given your experience already with that, so, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say the breakdown of tasks is what we call in our industry is work breakdown structure. Genevieve mentioned as a way to budget, it's where we're gonna budget, we're gonna track progress against each of the tasks and deliverables in a work breakdown structure for accounting purposes to show you exactly where we are. We can actually tell you how well things are performing as well. We have a budget of X dollars to do the work, we can tell you how much of that we've spent, and if we are on track to meet the dates and the deliverable products. All that stuff.
Back in line with the idea of deliverables at the end of this project, this may be outside your scope. But I'm just thinking about building business case to secure additional funding. Will there be a component part of this as well to talk about the economic impacts? If we do have a seismic event and the bridge goes away, or we have to reduce weight capacity and what kind of economic effects that has as it relates to, lengthening the bridge or, the life of the bridge, stuff like that. Will there be any type of assessment of that?
That's not currently included in the scope here, but it is absolutely something we can do if you choose that that's the right next step for the board, for sure.
Because the previous reports that have been done in that vein are now dated.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
There have been some studies.
and I'm just thinking if I was trying to sell, trying to secure getting more funding, showing the detriment of, of not of a rate reduction or a complete loss of the bridge, but what economic effect that would be very important in my business case.
I agree. Good questions.
And so that I'm clear, this phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be the 2.5 forward or the 6.
it's 6.
Sick.
Yes.
But the owner's engineer project manager component of it right now is only 2.5.
And now what I promise you to bring to every time we're having an update is to have a nice high level summary of where we're at in the phases and how the tasks that we're doing tie together with that.
Okay.
In like a schedule chart. And we'll even tell you what % complete we are and how we're doing on budget with full transparency.
Yeah, and like what Ted said, with the economic impact, as time goes on, you'll get a better picture of impacts with the River Bridge project interfering with seismic event, but potentially happening between them. You can get a more accurate picture of those numbers too.
Absolutely. One thing I would add is, this is the industry that I live and breathe every day, so. I'm frequently talking to both sides of the river about what's happening. Spend a lot of time talking to contractors about prices. And the nature of the work out there, so I have a pretty good tab on. How this project ties into the larger picture, even at the state level. When you think about what's going on in Salem. There is a lot of talk right now about legislative packages on both sides of the river for transportation. And the states are in different situations there, but I can help you stay informed and stay in the loop, I know you guys do spend quite a bit of time with your partners in the area.
We do.
But,
I'm sure there's a huge amount of understanding with the landslide that recently, or is currently, still happening up in Washington.
oh, yeah. And then I've already looked at some of the preliminary information around this area, and we'll have a more formal discussion and share with you what we know about this specific area. But certainly the landslide on the Washington side is.
Are you talking about this landslide, our landslide?
No,
Yeah.
there's one that's actively, or at least months ago, was actively happening.
Oh, okay.
On the Amtrak line.
All the way up right from that Canadian border up there.
Where's that in Ohio?
The Oslo one.
Oh, Oslo.
The Oslo.
Yeah, good questions. And I encourage hard questions. Great.
Like to, somebody would like to entertain a motion.
Discussions and questions?
We technically need to do a motion in a second before we have these discussions.
Well, we're gonna do
That's true,
fabric.
you can go to any point, and typically, like I said, you frame the discussions by making a motion.
I can make a motion.
Yeah. I will be perfectly honest, that's what I chatted with John Ryan earlier, and I was like, it's a lot of money for a bunch of reports. So I have been very curious about exactly what are we gonna be getting during that time period, what is actually gonna be taken care of from the tasks to the reports to anything else that's covered. Because
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, $6 million isn't a lot, but at the same time, it is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will say that is, it's not full $6 million.
Okay.
And it's absolutely seed money to help you go get the next thing you're gonna need.
Right.
The states, the feds, all the agencies on both sides of the river and in the river require a lot of things for big projects to happen. And the seismic piece is one thing where they're just gonna want information that they would do themselves for something like this.
So we will have an entire shelf of reports and we will say, here's the one that you need to go around.
Yeah, and it's gonna be for this group over here, you need this, but for this group over here, you can want this.
Right.
And that's why you kind of drive some of it as far along as we can, get a shovel ready, or even go to construction with the $6 million on things like improved pedestrian lighting.
Right.
To try to feel like there's something there, but also seed money for other things that.
It'll look like the World Book encyclopedias for the bridge.
And this isn't the full, all the things, right?
Right.
It's the seed money to get
Right.
going, yeah. It's a good question.
Yes. I think it's valuable information that we need, if we're gonna secure the real funding that we're gonna need.
And it'll tell us how much funding we need to secure.
Yeah, I read through it in quite a bit of detail and I was real comfortable with what I was seeing, so I did notice what you're talking about, some of that. I had a little head scratching on how's it transfer back and forth, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But the end result is what I'm looking for.
There's a lot of physical work that goes into making those reports, though, like you're gonna have to get in the river and like see the pilings and the condition of those and all of that, like it's not just.
Yeah.
We're getting a piece of paper, there's a lot of.
Yeah, you wanna tell us just about some of those things?
Yeah,
That's cool
plants
stuff.
on the list that you don't have.
How
That's a
will it
big
react
deal.
to a ball cyclone?
Bridge plans, a detailed survey of the bridge, some of which will be done by drone, which is very cool. So there's an outfit that I've been using for years out of Southwest Washington, out of Washougal, Camas, who does drone survey. It's actually a detailed technical survey of the whole site and the bridge. There'll be a land side survey, so we actually have surveys out there in the field collecting data as well. And yeah, again, geotechnical, it's going to initially feel like just reports, but it's going to be really specific information that you can use to decide next steps.
For phase 2, definitely include the bungee jumping.
Yeah. Load
Looking at that
testing.
earlier, anything else, that's going to be acceptable where you're planning to attach.
I think it's in where the little area juts out in the middle of the bridge.
Yeah.
Is the platform they were hoping to use.
Yeah.
Just based off of pictures, I don't think they've been out here to actually look.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the kind of the next step for feasibility.
And that wouldn't be part of this project, the states, obviously, and
I mentioned the sensors, David.
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, there's actually quite a bit of value that we're trying to bring out of this contract. And so one of the things is measuring the bridge's response to loads. So we've just got a very targeted plan to put sensors on the bridge. It's called structural health monitoring. It's been a kind of part of structural engineering for a number of years. But it's really just about putting deflection gauges and strain measurement on the bridge to really truly see what kind of loads are coming across and what does the bridge feel from those loads. And we can do that. We're doing that in a really specific area, and then we can extrapolate whatever we find there to the whole bridge. It's actually really useful in saying what kind of weights really are coming across the bridge.
Paperclip analogy.
Yeah, paperclip analogy is a really good one. So these spans on the Oregon side are steel, and the truss is steel, the trusses on the other side are steel, but they're different configurations. So if the bridge is old. So if you take a paperclip's a great example, where if you take it and you start to bend it, a couple times. You bend it enough, it breaks, right? So that's fatigue of steel. So we can actually do that on the bridge as well, but we just need to know what kind of stress it's seeing. So we put the gauges on the bridge, we see the stress that's actually feeling from the trucks. And then we can do some math to determine how bad is the situation, right? Since it's pretty old, it's seeing a lot of cycles, a lot of trucks come by. And so the steel itself is seeing this sort of cycling of stress like you would do with a paperclip. We designed bridges for it today. When the Bridge of Gods was designed, they didn't consider that. So that's actually a really specific piece of information. Will help you understand the question that gets asked all the time is how long will the bridge last? And that actually will be able to answer that specific question. Yeah.
And based on the level of loads that it and how frequently it does. You know, let's say potentially 100,000-pound loads. People who are overweight.
Yeah.
Et cetera.
If
Who
we
just
continue
pull up their last axle when they're crossing
We
the
can
bridge, so
continue.
you don't know that they're overweight.
We'll know when they did it and we'll know what effect it had on the bridge.
And if we continue allowing 100,000 loads, it'll only last
And-
X
and
amount
it's
of time, but if
different, so,
we
yeah.
reduce that, then we get X amount of time.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
But that type of calculation, will that be in as a deliverable?
Yes.
Gary just talked about.
Yeah.
So not maybe not the economic impact of weight limiting, but how necessary would,
Yeah.
what's the situation?
I think both
Do
are
we need to
important,
think about that?
but I
Yeah.
think both are important, but yes, that's what relates to carrier, the measurement and then also the
Yeah.
economic. I think two different things out of that same.
Today, it's currently back at 80,000.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
But actually volunteer.
somebody likes to entertain most.
Sure. I make a motion to approve the contract with Parsons Engineering for the Bridge of the Gods Seismic Safety and Preservation Studies Project, authorizing them to proceed with the outlined scope of work, subject to final legal review and approval by the executive director.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve contract with Parsons Transportation Group. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thanks,
Thank you,
David
sir.
McCurry.
Thanks, David.
Thank you so much for your
We
time.
look forward to seeing you in here frequently in the next 3 to 4 years.
Thanks, David.
All right. Resolution 2024-.
You're good, David. You want to get out of here?
Resolution authorizing transfer of appropriated funds within the 2024-2025 general fund budget.
Don't you?
Not me.
That was.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that was me. Yeah, so during your November 5th meeting, the commission directed staff to fund the transfer switch installation at the Cascade Locks Elementary School out of this year's contingency budget, which requires a budget transfer, which is what this resolution will do. As Parker reported earlier, we met with Bill Newton and Adrian Acosta. And the facilities staff at the school, I think it was last week, and Parker is working on updating the quotes that we got. We determined the placement of the actual generator. And so we're updating the quotes and scheduling the work to get that installed as soon as possible.
I'm waiting on one more quote. I'm hopeful that I can get a quote that is of equal cost that will get us an automatic transfer switch and not a manual transfer switch. And that's where we got to with Coburn was cost reduction to go with the manual transfer switch. I'd really love to find an automatic transfer switch.
I think you're gonna sell it tonight.
So this resolution is what we need to actually do the budget transfer out of contingency into a new line item specifically for that project and give us spending authority within that $45,000 limit.
Kind of do the honors.
Please do.
I move we approve resolution to 2024-4, a resolution authorizing the transfer of appropriated funds within the 2024-2025 general fund budgets.
Do you have to say how much it is? Because in the actual recommended motion.
Oh, sorry, I just read it, right? Of the
Page 73.
Either way is fine, I think.
It's a lot of pages.
It's fine. I think that motion is good because they called out the resolution.
Resolution number 2024-4, authorizing a budget transfer in the amount of $45,000 from the contingency of the general fund to the general operations fund, the transfer switch installation for the Cascade Locks Elementary School warming shelter project.
I second that motion.
Okay, there has been a second, and a regular motion. Resolution 2024-4.
Okay, before it goes to the vote, I'd love to throw in the comment section, do a correct.
Absolutely.
So question, I wasn't involved in this one, just for a point of clarification for me or understanding. This is just the actual switching device sized appropriately for that facility. It's my understanding that there's a loaner generator that's wheeled up and plugged in. Is that what I'm hearing
Yes,
from?
sir.
Emergency?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
We don't, we don't own a generator or Cascade Locks.
They gave
doesn't own
them
that.
this, didn't they?
we will house the generator on port property for the entire year, all year. If the county could come to us and say, hey, we need that generator for a situation somewhere else, then we would then have to say yes or no if we had something in the works. But I would say more than likely the answer would always be yes. And we would then transfer the generator to the Cascade Locks Elementary School with the manual transfer switch. We would have the equipment hooked up, and then the transfer switch would be activated, and that would move the power to be, the building would be receiving power from the generator and distributing it to the appropriate panels from that transfer switch. And with the manual one, it would just be more involvement from myself or maintenance department personnel that would have to go. We would have to know overnight when power is going to come back on. We would just need to be there to switch the school back onto regular power.
And last year, this is all in light to the 19-hour power outage that we had last year. And Underground Brewing opened up their doors to keep the community warm, and in Albert versus the county, and really pushes forward to make this happen where we actually have a permanent warming shelter in town. And because they shut the freeways down, this is very important project. So, yeah.
And Farmer's Almanac says it's going to be a cold and long snowy winter.
Yeah.
And I just want to,
And to be fair, this isn't just for this year. This is hopefully for years to come.
For years to come, and
We're kind of on the permanent loan, right?
yes.
Semi-permanent loan.
I mean, it is stationed specifically in this location for issues that happen here or down in this area, right? But like I said, if something big goes down somewhere else and they need it, they're gonna take it. But it's specifically strategically stationed here,
Yeah.
and they didn't have one stationed here, right?
Right.
So-
They otherwise can't really use it without it being hooked up to something, right?
That's
Like
right.
it's kind of a useless.
Yeah, last year they had a generator from Wasco, the fire chief called out, and it turned out it didn't work. And then the electrician came out, trying to hook it up to the transfer port that Underground Brewing has, but they were kind of unsure of the 3-stage system they had there. I don't know all the technical stuff with it, but the automatic switch thing definitely is more preferable in emergency situations.
And from this point on, it's been the transfer switch and the panels it's going to have been designed knowing the capacity of the generator itself. So we won't be powering the entire school. We'd be powering more than likely the kitchen and the gym, which would then also heat
The
and cool those bathrooms in the hallways along the way.
And I guess the only nuance that we have here, we're calling it the warming shelter project, but it would be really any sort of emergency situation whenever electricity is out.
Yeah.
So it could be either electricity out because of winter storm. We were talking a lot about seismic potential. If something like that happens to knock us out electricity, or even if there's a fire where we don't have electricity for some reason. This is really an opportunity for us to just make sure that the community has some sort of safe, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, nonpartisan area that we can all go and make sure that everyone's okay.
And that should be able to power air conditioning too, right? And then
Yes.
heat lift.
heat and the,
We
and I
had
just,
problems in the past, even with Bonneville having issues, transformer blow or something like that, and not a weather event or anything, just normal things go wrong and have had power down for a number of, most of the night, so. It would be just nice to have that option.
I just want to make sure it's clear also that this is, it's very brave of the school district and the school itself to step up and talk about using this facility and allow us to install this hardware and talk about this use without our operational plan ready. So the work is not done. After we get done with this installation, the next step is to talk about, okay, so the catastrophe happens, who does what? And so we will be working on prompting and working with the county and likely the Red Cross on developing the actual plan for the operation of the warming shelter and who does what. So there's lots more work to do, but we really couldn't write a plan without the equipment. And now we have the equipment at least. So it won't be the last thing that you hear about this. There's also the planning part needs to happen as well.
So on, just for clarification, so the county owns the generator, does that purchase new or is that repurposed? Just out of curiosity.
It's actually the state that owns it, I think.
Oregon Department of Emergency Management
Yeah.
owns the generator. And I believe they purchased them new on a grant
Okay.
or something along those
Something.
lines.
Yeah,
So it's a newer generator.
Yeah.
It's very up to date.
I think whenever we're chatting with Charles, said it's never even been used.
No, I do know it has
Used
been
it for the
used.
community college, didn't they?
They've used it. No, that's what it was brought in for, was to power the community college in Hood River. But I do know from speaking with another electrician who has been the licensed electrician to go and set this up in the city of Mosier.
Yeah.
The city of Mosier pulls water from the well there, and when they lose power, the whole town loses their water. And so that generator's been used there.
Was that
Once
the
before.
microwave fire or
No,
a little bit before?
Maybe.
it might have been. I didn't quite ask for specific details in that. That wasn't the.
So great news or great effort on your part to help spearhead this, and I feel comfortable knowing that the generator's here, because when I was processing, hearing that it was gonna be transferred as ice storm, how you get the generator here,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
that'd be good, so it's good that's based here. The only other things that it sounds like is coming up in the future is the plan, which would involve training. That's gonna be my next
Yeah.
question. Who's trained to do the physical connection? Who's teed up on the call tree to get it
Exactly.
taken over?
So American Red Cross does that. They have a disasters action team and a really good template for, executing the plans, procedures and stuff. I used to be involved with that a couple of years ago, so.
Yeah, perfect. And then the other thing is with any generator, with any type of piece of equipment maintenance, who's handling the maintenance of that, and
That's
just have that in the part of the plan as well. So other than that, I'm in favor of it. So.
And then, Ted, just to clarify, in that $45,000 ask is around $5,000 set aside for designing, implementing a maintenance program, a shelter for the generator itself. That'll get us all set up with what we need to maintain that machine.
Servicing, yeah.
And kudos to Albert for.
Bruce here, his team.
Yeah, and Bruce and team, yeah, for everybody putting this together.
I was just squeaky wheel.
That's important.
Albert,
It's
it wouldn't have happened without the motivation there.
That's the most important part of the wagon to get it done. All right, a motion a second to approve the authorization transfer of appropriated funds. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, with if there's nothing else to come before the commission, we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Ready as a hammer? It's a big one. Hey, come on, Brad.
There you go, Carrie.
It's